All right, today we're going to travel back in time. I mean, way, way back. Before any empires, before a single word was written down. We're going to a period of Indian history that's written not in books, but in the tools and bones people left behind. This is a story that's literally told in stone. So get this. This number is just staggering. 99%. That's how much of all human history happened before anyone wrote a single thing down. Think about that. Almost the entire story of us unfolded in a time with zero written records. Which, brings up a pretty big question.
Well, we have to become detectives, right? We follow this trail of clues left behind. Things like pottery, old bones, and, most importantly, the tools that basically defined these entire ages. And our guide on this whole journey, it's going to be that story told by stone. Our journey starts in the Paleolithic Age, also known as the Old Stone Age. Now, you can really think of this as humanity's longest childhood. I'm talking a vast stretch of time where the rules for survival were learned one clumsy stone tool at a time. And this childhood was so incredibly long that we have to split it into 3 phases just to make sense of it. First up, in the lower Paleolithic, during the Ice Age, the tools were pretty clunky. Heavy things. Then you get to the middle phase, and they get a bit smaller, a little more precise. But it's in the upper Paleolithic that we see the arrival of us, Homo sapiens, modern humans. And with us comes this technological explosion. Suddenly you have sharp blades and even bone needles for sewing. And believe it or not, this entire field of study, prehistoric India, it all kicked off with this one object. Back in 1863, a geologist named Robert Bruce Foote just stumbled upon this hand axe. It was the very first hard proof of ancient human life on the subcontinent, and it earned him the awesome title, Father of Prehistoric Archaeology. So, what was life actually like back then? Well, it was a constant struggle for survival. People were nomadic hunter-gatherers, which means they were always on the move, living in these small, tight-knit groups. They took shelter in natural caves and rock shelters, like the super famous ones at Bhimbetka. Their entire world, everything they had was crafted from what they could find around them: stone, wood, and bone. Okay, so around 10,000 BCE, the world starts to warm up. The Ice Age is ending, ice is retreating, and totally new landscapes are appearing. And humans, well, they didn't just survive this massive change. They thrived. They adapted, and that kicked off the Mesolithic, or Middle Stone Age, a period of absolutely incredible innovation. And the biggest change was in their tech. I mean, look at this. Paleolithic tools were big and clunky. But these Mesolithic tools, they're called microliths, were tiny, sharp, and so much more versatile. These weren't just smaller stones, they were components. People could now make complex tools, things like sticking them on shafts to make arrows and spears, or even sickles for harvesting wild grains. It was a game changer. This new toolkit really unlocked a more complex way of life. For the very first time, people started to tame the world around them, starting with the domestication of the dog. They began to express themselves through art, leaving behind these vivid rock paintings of hunting and dancing. We even see the first hints of spiritual beliefs, with ritual burials. And crucially, they started to move into and settle new territories, like the vast Gunga Plains. So all of this innovation, it was all building towards what would be the most radical transformation in human history, the Neolithic, or the New Stone Age. This wasn't just another phase, no way. This was a complete reinvention of what it even meant to be human. The famous archaeologist V. Gordon Childe actually called it the Neolithic Revolution. And he called it that because it marked this fundamental shift. Humans went from just finding or gathering their food to actively producing it. And that one change, as you're about to see, it changed everything. It was like a chain reaction. First, you get the invention of agriculture. This creates a food surplus, way more food than you can eat at once. Okay, so now you need to store that surplus, which leads to the invention of pottery. And with a stable food supply just sitting there, people didn't have to roam anymore. They could build permanent homes, creating the very first settled villages. And daily life became totally unrecognizable. Tools were now finely polished and super efficient. People started weaving their own clothes from cotton. We found the oldest evidence of this at Mehergar. And instead of just temporary shelters, they built sturdy mud brick houses and even dug these cool pit dwellings, like the ones they found up in Burzahome in Kashmir. So the Stone Age was over, but the story of innovation, oh, it was far from finished.
The next chapters are all defined by the discovery of metal, a technology that would, once again, reshape society and really pave the way for the great civilizations of recorded history. First up was the Chalcolithic Age, which literally means the Copper Stone Age. And that's exactly what it was, a transitional period. People didn't just drop their stone tools overnight. No, they started using this new, amazing material, copper, for things like axes and hooks, while still relying heavily on their tried and true stone tools. Now, this new age wasn't the same everywhere. Across India, all these diverse regional cultures started popping up. You had the Ahar Banas culture in Rajasthan, the farm-rich Malva culture right in central India, and the Jorwe culture in Maharashtra, which is really known for its unique burials. And with settled villages and surplus food came something brand new, and maybe not so great: social inequality. For the first time in the archaeological record, we see clear differences in housing. Village chiefs were living in these large rectangular homes, while ordinary people lived in small round huts. This hierarchy, this division, was a direct result of having permanent settlements. The final phase before we get to written history is the megalithic culture. The name literally means big stones, and that's exactly what defines it. These amazing, elaborate burial sites built using massive stones. This period also lines up with the widespread adoption of an even more powerful new metal, iron. These massive graves are basically time capsules. Inside, archaeologists find all sorts of things, like distinctive black and red pottery and lots of iron tools. But the items buried with the dead tell a really clear story about social status. I mean, some people were laid to rest with gold beads, while others just had a few pots. It's undeniable proof of a belief in an afterlife and a society that now had a deep divide between the rich and the poor. So there you have it. We've traced this incredible journey from simple stone choppers all the way to powerful iron spears, from tiny nomadic bands to settled villages with social classes. All the essential ingredients were now in place: agriculture, metal, and social hierarchy. The stage was set for the next great leap forward. So the question is, what would they build with these new foundations? Well, cities, empires, and the beginning of history as we know it.